Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and I have a question for you. Can you name every 49ers statistical leader from the year 2000 to 2009? That's what we're trying to figure out today as we introduce and debut Sporcle quizzes to the channel for the first time. If you watch John Boy Media or Draft Neck Mark for your baseball coverage, they do a ton of these. I thought, you know what? No one else is doing these in the Niner community. Let me have a go at it. So let me ask you once again, can you name the statistical leaders from the year 2000 to 2009 for your and mine San Francisco 49ers? Without further ado, let's dive in to this. We have 60 total stat leaders in 15 minutes to get things done. If in your brain, you can play along down in the comments below or go on Sporcle.com and find the quiz yourself. I'll put it down below in the description for you to make it easy for yourself, but see if you can beat me. The odds you can beat me on this, I believe, are slim to none. This is my era of San Francisco 49er football. I grew up in 1996. I was born in the year 1996 on Thanksgiving, no less. And when I watched the San Francisco 49ers for the first time, it was with Jeff Garcia and Terrell Owens, then leading into the terrible Alex Smith first few years of his career with like 9 different coaches, 9 different coordinators. It was a crapshoot, but this is my era of Niner football that I fell in love with the red and gold. So without further ado, let's see. Test your knowledge against me with the San Francisco 49ers 2000 to 2009 stat leaders in passing yards, rushing yards, receiving yards, sacks, interceptions, and tackles. Without further ado, let's kick things off with the passing yard leaders. There's a clear-cut number one answer here for the 2000s. It is Jeff Garcia, the quarterback that Brock Purdy just passed for the most passing yards in his first 25 games as a San Francisco 49er. Garcia gets us the years 2000 to 2003 for passing yards, leading us into 2004. So it's pre-Alex Smith, post-Garcia. Is this the Tim Rattay San Francisco 49ers? It is, which brings us to 2005, the Alex Smith rookie season. Let's see if that's him. Yep, 875 yards. You darn tootin', it's Alex Smith. He was terrible. There's a reason why we were haunted by the Aaron Rodgers pick for a handful of years pre the Kaepernick Packers playoff games, leading us to now where San Francisco owns Aaron Rodgers. There was a lot of necessary or a lot of guilt because Rodgers was playing so well, and Alex Smith, frankly, sucked the first handful of seasons of his career, but he rebounded. Had a good career, but the first year, 875 yards was rough. Smith gets us 2005, 2006, and 2009. In 2007, 2008, though, I believe Alex Smith was hurt and then was benched in 2008. This, to me, is the Trent Dilfer year when he's not yelling and abusing his own players in college as a coach. He's out there being the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers in 2007. And I believe 2008 is, I think, a often forgotten backup quarterback in Sean Hill, who actually was pretty nice for the majority of his time in San Francisco. Wasn't a world beater, but my goodness, in a time and place where backup quarterbacks are kind of lauded and they're needed. The Miami Dolphins are a major case in that, and so is San Francisco in 2022. Sean Hill did keep San Francisco afloat. He was Nick Mullins before Nick Mullins with much worse coaching behind him, but Sean Hill rounds out the 2000s passing yard leaders, bringing us to the rushing yard leaders starting in the year 2000s. If my memory is correct, 1999, was that the year where Garrison Hurst broke his leg or tore his ACL, whatever it was, against the Falcons on like the first drive of the game? And I believe Charlie Garner was the running back in 2000. Yes, that is correct. Then Garrison Hearst returns the next few years, as he does in 2001 and 2002, leading to 2003. 2003 is pre-Frank Gore, who was drafted in 2005. It's in the middle of the Garrison Hearst era, or post-Garrison Hearst. I believe this is Kevin Barlow, who was supposed to be this amazing running back, if I can spell his name correctly. And he just was not that. He had 1,000 yards in his rookie season. It was pretty good. Second year, not so great. Then I think he went to Pittsburgh to end his career, which was just like, huh? What happens? But once you leave Kevin Barlow and Garrison Hearst in the past, that brings us to the lockdown, guaranteed Frank Gore era of San Francisco running backs. And I'll tell you this, I cannot wait to watch Frank Gore go into the Hall of Fame. The third leading rusher in NFL history. He is the greatest running back in San Francisco 49er history. And I can tell you that in my, I was 9 years old in 2005, going on 10 years old. I was playing Madden, 2006? I think that was the Donovan McNabb year on the cover. Frank Gore, who in the game had no gloves, no wrist tape, nothing on his arms at all, and a rookie Alex Smith, who I think was ranked like 64 overall. Gore was like a 58 overall. I led them boys to a Super Bowl in year number one. I'll tell you, man, Frank Gore, just where he came from, the multiple leg injuries at Miami, they took a chance on him, and he made their gamble worth the risk. He was awesome. Frank Gore is one of the most humble people you'll ever talk to and meet. He still works with San Francisco in the front office, so it's good to see him back with the team that drafted him. And it's an incredible career for a great player. So he rounds out the rushing yard leaders, bringing us to arguably kind of one of the toughest groupings, because Jerry Rice is long gone by 2000. That, of course, leads you to Terrell Owens, T.O., who I know many fans dislike, but my father being one of them. The ego was the issue. Get your popcorn ready was the often not muttered phrase in our household once he went to Dallas and Philadelphia. But he takes up years 2000 to 2003, giving us 2004 and 2009 left. 2004, let's think. Was this Eric Johnson? He was an okay tight end for a while. No receivers are there. Maybe it's Brandon Lloyd. Let's try Eric Johnson first, if I can spell his name correctly. It was Eric Johnson. Brandon Lloyd's got to be next. Brandon Lloyd was so fun to watch. He was the first receiver I saw play for San Francisco in person. I think I went to see them with my uncle. It was Niners and Giants. Cody Pickett was the quarterback. I know, how terrible was that? San Francisco lost that game to the Giants. They had just signed Plaxico Burress. Eli Manning was playing. They had the throwback, the white and the red they currently still have, but that was a fun game to watch. It was the pre-Eli Manning Plaxico Burress Super Bowl game-winning drive against the Patriots. So it was really fun to watch that year. But Brandon Lloyd is the leader of 2005. 2000, there's got to be Vernon Davis here in here somewhere from the year 2006 to 2009. Davis, let's see what he gets us. He gets us 2009. Trying to think of the most obscure receivers in Niner history. Like Darrell Jackson, who was brought over from Seattle. Is he on here? No. Arnaz Battle. Let's see if he's on here somewhere. He gets us 2007 with 600 receiving yards. Wow, that was the team lead. Yikes. This is pre-Delaney Walker. Who else did San Francisco have? They signed some guys late, like Randy Moss, but in that same, like Isaac Bruce. Is he on here? Isaac Bruce up here? Isaac Bruce gets us 2008. Wow. The year 2006. That's all we have left. Let's come back to the year 2006. Let's go to sack leaders. Clear-cut one, Bryant Young on the list. 2006 receiving leader, Antonio Bryant in San Francisco. That is the rounds out the receiving yard leaders we have. So we have a clean sweep so far, 30 out of 60 done. Let's see if we can finish hot and get every single one correct. Let's go to the sack leaders, though, and put who I was going to put in before Antonio Bryant popped up, that being Bryant Young. Bryant Young, one of the greatest Niners of all time. And again, I was a Madden kid. He gets us years 2000, 2005, and 2007. When you were younger in the 2000s, there was NFL Fever and there was NFL Game Day. I played all of them, mind you, but I was a Madden kid through and through until they recently kind of started to suck in the year 2020, if I'm being pretty frank. But Bryant Young, in my franchise career in like 2000, I think it may have been 2008, Madden 08, he intercepted a pass playing defensive end for me. And I thought that was the greatest thing ever. It was like, we got to save this. I was playing at like 5 a.m. on a Tuesday. I said, hey, brother, you got to save this for me. I have to go get educated really fast here. When I get back, I'll play it. Got home, ran to the TV and was like, I cannot wait to play Madden again. Bryant Young's my best cornerback so far this season. Booted up. My brother didn't save it. He turned it off, and it was one of the worst days of my life for like 2 days. I was like, why did you not save my Madden franchise? But I digress. I have since forgiven my brother, and all is well. But back to the sack leaders. How about Andre Carter? He was a good Niner at the time, a good Washington Redskin, but never lived up to what his promise was, but still a good player for a relatively nice chunk of time in San Francisco. Julian Peterson's got to be on here somewhere. He's one of those players that went to the Seattle Seahawks. He was the first player I can think of that was after making plays against San Francisco, he was pointing to the back of his jersey like, look what I just did against you. How dare you let me go? It was a massive issue, a massive storyline back in 2000, I think it was 2005 or 6 when he left. It was a not good day in San Francisco to watch him go to. I think it was either the Lions, then Seattle, or it was Seattle, then the Lions. Either way, not a great day in San Francisco. 2008, who had 8 sacks in 2008? Maybe some linebackers like Derek Smith, who was on here, who was the pre-Warner, pre-Bowman, pre-Patrick Willis, Mike linebacker. He gets us 5 years of sacks totaled, 5 years of tackles totaled, but no sack leaders. Is Jeff Ulbrich on here, the current Jets defensive coordinator? No. What about a sneaky guy like Brandon Moore? You know who Brandon Moore is? He's a guy that during the preseason would wreck shop as he gets us sacks in 2006 and tackles in 2006. He had the big neck protector like the guys in the 80s used to wear. I don't know why. Seeing that as a kid, I was like, I want to be that guy. That guy's awesome. But he does get us 2 things here in tackles and sacks. The year 2008, you know what? Why don't we just put in Patrick Willis and see what pops up? Willis doesn't get us sacks, but it gets us 2007 to 2009 tackle leaders. I can't really think of anybody else on that defensive line to get sacks. Let's go back to interceptions. Let's see what that can get us. The first one that comes to mind is Walt Harris. Walt Harris was just the coolest guy in the room. He had the half from wrist to elbow arm sleeves. I thought it was the coolest thing ever growing up. Like San Francisco sucked during these years, but they had these guys, Brandon Moore, Walt Harris, that just had these really cool accessories that stood out. Nowadays, everyone's wearing arm sleeves and you're like, whatever. But the half arm sleeves back in the day was so rare. It was so cool to see. But Walt Harris, he gets us 2006 interceptions with 8. What about Nate Clements? Nate Clements was supposed to be this top dog from Buffalo, brought over to be the number 1 cornerback, and he just sucked for forever. He gets us 2007 and 2007 with Walt Harris as well. What about Shante Spencer? You remember that guy, Shante Spencer? He was not great, but he was so underrated to me. I had the Niners calendar you put on your wall. He was on there, and I was like, I love this guy. He's awesome. Oh, and Mike Adams also on the list with Shante Spencer in 2005. Thinking of safeties back then, Tony Parrish has to be on here. Was he a Cowboy after or before San Francisco? Tell me down below in the comments. I can't remember exactly. Ahmed Plummer has to be on here as well. Let's see if he's on there. Oh, not. Let's put his last name so it comes up. Plummer gets us 2001. Man, we have 53 of 60. We need one more tackle leader, 3 more interception leaders, and 3 more sack leaders. If you know who they are, tell me down below in the comments, because right now, with 2 minutes left, I am blanking on names. Let's think for a second. 2009, that's Patrick Willis's year. He's there in the middle of the field. This is pre-Carlos Rogers, correct? Yeah, it's pre-Carlos Rogers, pre-Chris Culliver. Dante Whitner wasn't there. Was Deshaun Golson there? He was there in 2009. Okay, cool. We have 54 of 60. Let's try to get at least 55. Who is the leading tackler in 2000? Ken Norton's gone by then, I believe. Ken Norton's gone. Who is the interception leader? Is Mike Rumph on here? My dad's least favorite Niner cornerback of all time. My father would always tell me this story growing up. He would say, Sterling, we hate Mike Rumph. He called him Touchdown Mike Rumph because every game he was good for one blown coverage that would give the opposing team a touchdown. I kid you not. My father hated Mike Rumph. I'm sure he's a great guy, but Mike Rumph was public enemy number 1 in my house for a handful of seasons. Like one of the worst draft picks this team has had in a long time. Like Rashawn Woods comes to mind, AJ Jenkins, but Mike Rumph was also not very good. Let's see if we can get one more in the next 30 seconds. Sack leaders. Let's see the edge rushers out there. No one comes to mind. We'll just put in random names and see what comes up. No Williams, no Smith, no Johnson. Let's see what we got. No Johnsons. It looks like we have gotten 54 of 60 players on the San Francisco 49ers 2000 to 2009 statistical leader list. Let's see before the reveal who we're going to get. Tell me who you think down below I missed. Tell me your score down below. But right now, let's reveal the leaders of the 2000s and 2000, from 2000 to 2009, who led San Francisco in tackles in 2000, interceptions in 2000, sacks in 2004, 2008, and 2009, and tackles in 2008. Let's see here again. If you can see on your screen, I'll zoom in for you really fast. Lance Schulters led San Francisco in tackles in the year 2000 with 91. Not going to lie to you, I have no idea who that is. And Zach Bronson and Monty Montgomery led San Francisco with 3 interceptions apiece in the year 2000s. I'm not going to lie to you, I remember guys like Zach Keesey over players like Zach Bronson and Monty Montgomery. Wow. And then John Engelberger, I'm not going to lie to you, in 2004, I was 7 years old, going on 8 years old. I have no idea who that guy was. Oh, then, of course, the late, great Paris Harrelson with 8 sacks in 2008. Can't believe I forgot Paris Harrelson. RIP to a underrated San Francisco 49er. And shout out Drew Brees' neck. Oh, no, that was Ahmed Brooks, wasn't it? Man, San Francisco had some underrated dogs from the year 2007 to about near the end of the Harbaugh era. They were so good. Brooks, Harrelson, Manny Lawson was the next guy. Now, Manny Lawson, which I cannot believe he led San Francisco in sacks in the year 2009. I always felt so bad for Lawson because he was kind of this in-betweener. Was he an edge rusher? Was he an outside linebacker? What was he? San Francisco could never kind of narrow down his role. And he was a high-end pick. I believe he was a second-round pick in the late 2000s, but never really became who they wanted him to become. Was obviously outshined by players like Paris Harrelson, Ahmed Brooks, who was signed from the Bengals. Then moving back to interceptions, we had Will Harris down. They didn't give us Will Harris in 2008, but the one name we probably should have put on there, and I cannot believe I named Derek Smith, but didn't name the largest man with the largest neck I have ever seen in person, Takeo Spikes. Wow, he was a great Bengal. He was a great Buffalo Bill. He was a great Philadelphia Eagle, and he was pivotal in the growth of Patrick Willis, who then passed that on to players like Navarro Bowman and players eventually like Fred Warner. But man, I cannot believe we just missed, what, 5 or 6? What did we get to end? We had a 54-60 overall score, a 90%, which is way better than the average 63% most people get. Test your luck down below. Tell me what you got down in the comments. And I hope if you like it, tell me, leave a like on the video, hoping you'll like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube. And if you want to listen to my reactions and previews of any Niner game this Sunday, it's Cardinals Niners. Go on the audio podcasting platforms or subscribe right here, because we're going to preview that game later on in the week. And then we will react to it later on next week after Sunday's hopeful victory over the Arizona Cardinals. But my name is Sterling Bennett, saying thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And until next time, stay faithful.